Hi guys, welcome back to another episode as seen on Miss Niecee. Today we are revisiting our episodes of Our Family, an African American Story. So we're just telling the story of our family as we recall it. This is totally from our perspective. I didn't say that on the other video, but I would like to say that because this is totally from our own perspective and our own memories. And so if we got anything wrong, we'll apologize in advance. But I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we got some exciting content for today, so stay tuned. All right, guys, so welcome back. Again, we want to thank you for tuning in to today's episode. When we left off, we had just moved out of Holy Temple Homes, and now we are moving in. We have moved into Parker Square. As my sister and I say, we didn't have the same experience as our parents, so our experience was like blink, and we were relocated into a whole new environment and a whole new way of living, really. For lack of a better way to put it, that's about how it rolled out. But the area that we moved into is called Charlie Parker Square. It's named after a famous jazz musician. The area is on 12th, near 12th and Woodland. A lot of people know the area around the world, from what I understand. It's in Missouri, and it's they call it 12th Street. So that was the area where there were multiple low-income housing projects that were situated right next to each other. So we had Charlie Parker Square, which was named after the jazz musician, and as I stated before, it had street names like Dizzy Gillespie,
Ella Fitzgerald Lane,
Moulton Place, different things like that. Yeah, Mary Lou Williams Lane and things like that. So a lot of different jazz musicians from back in the eras, I guess that was like the 50s or 60s.
30s, 40s.
30s and 40s, yeah. So they named a lot of the streets after that. So it was, but it was still a low-income housing project. But then on the side of that, on the to the south of that, there was Fair B. Watkins that we talked about before, where our family used to live, and then to the east. I'm like thinking of the street. And to the east, we would have had Wayne Minor, which was and that was a housing project that had the high-rise buildings, nine high-rises, and then they had what they called the low-rises, which were like little townhomes that surrounded the high-rise buildings where the larger families stayed. And so that was the area we moved into, and it was like a culture shock. It was. That's all I can say. So, Mom, you said that you and Daddy, y'all just kind of moved us in.
Yeah.
And
we got the place to stay, and we was thankful that we had a place to stay.
Yeah.
When you was doing your intro, I thought about something that the very first night we moved into Parker Square, because you just spur the moment you move it.
Yeah.
And so we had put a bunch of boxes down in the basement because we get back to them later. Yeah, that's where I lost.
I knew it was good. I was like,
all my pictures doing that. My pictures of my grandmother, my father, all of them, because the basement flooded the first night we were there.
The first night.
And it did it throughout our time there.
Yeah, it did.
But we was thankful for it anyway.
Night,
but I lost a lot that night. But
that first night, that got me. I feel like, now wait a minute.
Yeah.
One of the interesting facts is that, of course, my grandmother was the first person to move into Therapy Watkins, and then I had my uncle and his wife were the first tenants in Charlie Parker Square. So our family, we have our own family history rooted there in that area. And
Mhm.
we have a big family, and we all kind of hail from that little area.
And you know, as you
Well,
grow
really
up,
from Independence, I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
you
from the
know,
original
but in the
family.
more recent history, a lot of us came through. that
through our
area.
grandmother, you
Yes,
know,
through our
she was
grandmother.
kind of the
Yeah.
foundation of giving us
Mhm.
that.
And her sisters.
And her sister. Yes. And
Yeah,
her,
her
and
sisters.
her sisters.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Every
her-
one of her
And
But her
brothers.
brother stayed mostly in Independence. Her
Okay.
sisters kind of spread out around the city.
Okay.
Mhm. So, like I was saying, I would say for myself that, you know, Parker Square was really a culture shock because even though we lived in a core of the city, us living out in Holy Temple Homes, it was really kind of a calm neighborhood. Everybody was kind of relaxed and, you know, kids played and things like that. And I won't say that it wasn't the same activities going on in Parker Square and the surrounding area because I could see the other areas around me, but it just had a different vibe. And it was so many people. It was so many people, and you could look around and see things happening, you know.
But when I think about it
Everywhere
too,
you go, it's just be different pockets of
of
people doing different things, and it was so much
Yeah.
happening. I remember being a small child looking around like, wow.
But the benefit that I now look back on it to say too is that the good thing was we went to school there.
Yes.
So even when we lived in Holy Temple,
Mm-hmm.
because our babysitters were near downtown where Mom worked.
Mm-hmm.
We went to school. I went to WWA. So did you?
I was still in like kindergarten,
or
preschool, and
something.
kindergarten.
And I went
so.
I went to WWA's from kindergarten all the way up to 6th grade. Back then, you went to 6th grade before you went to middle school.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew at least. I think back on it, I was like, okay, at least I was near where I went to school.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't seem like when we first moved there, I saw any of the kids or were around any of the kids that I went to school
that you
with.
went to school with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I look back on it, not immediate.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize it immediately because when we would go outside, because Mom would, you especially, always want to go outside.
I always want.
She always want to go outside. So it was like, and so Mom then would want to be like, get some peace from us too, probably because we talk too much or whatever. And, you know, so they said, go on outside and go play.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get your housework done, get your chores done, and you got to go outside and go play. Well, what I remember so strongly about Parker Square is that I don't remember a whole lot of girls.
No,
When
not
we
at first.
when we first moved down there, and even my own age group, I don't remember being a whole lot of girls. So but when we would go outside, there would be a bunch of boys out there.
Yeah.
And they weren't, you know.
They seem to be more in my age group.
Yes, or
It was
somebody
like
a little bit older than you, but younger than me.
Yeah.
So me and you only 2 years apart, but it's something kind of in that
that's a
little
lot
bit
of years back when you And I was so small that, you know, I didn't relate everything to school yet.
Yeah, you didn't have, And I was thinking about school. I was like, well, where my friends in school?
Yeah.
But I wasn't seeing none of them. And these kids and boys that were out there, they were just kind of mannish, ruthless, testing you, trying to get you to fight. Go ahead, tell your story. Go on, what you want to talk about?
I know, because girl, you got
I got to trigger something. What you trying to do?
I had a little PTSD. Because, you know, you go from a place where you just kind of hanging around, tra la la la, and then you're in this neighborhood, and we had, like we were talking about, a lot of toys. You know, we had all the new toys. I mentioned my big wheel, my inchworm. I had a bike, my hula hoop, my little skates. You know, I'm like, man, I got all my little toys, and so naturally, I want to go outside and play like I used to play, and take my toys outside and play with the other kids. Now I'm expecting. I'm expecting cooperation. I'm really expecting them to go in the house and get their bike or get their big wheel. We come outside, we play together. Well, that's not what happened. They wanted to take my toys and tear them up.
They did.
They didn't want to.
They did.
My bike survived.
Yes.
It survived. My big
Big
wheel
wheel
survived for a little
After a while, Mama would
my
get
trike
protected,
Victor
though.
does. Some stuff I don't think I ever saw again.
Some people would just disappear, right?
They just
And after a while, Mama would just make us keep it. Like, she's like, you ain't taking that outside.
Yeah.
I remember her saying that. You ain't taking
you
that
better not let nobody ride.
Yeah.
So, and then if you try to stand up to the kids and try to tell them they can't ride stuff, then they want to fight you.
Right
At that time, I did not
I
know
know
anything
how to fight.
about fighting. I'm like, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Oh God, is he gonna hit? He's gonna hit me. That reminds me of getting a whooping like from your parents. So what
My
the
poor baby.
No. And when you come home,
trying to relate?
you trying to relate, you don't know nothing about no fight. Now, we fought each other. Now, don't get me wrong. Me and Niecee, we would fight each other. But it was different. We didn't fight straight. Yeah, and we really didn't. Even at that age, I don't even know that me and you really got into no blow down.
Mama didn't.
Yeah, Mama didn't like us fighting
Not
each
even
other.
that young. We weren't
fighting
we
each
used
other.
to talk bad to each other.
Yeah. But it was so.
It was
different.
something. And we used to cry, run home.
And Mama and them didn't want to hear.
Yeah,
Daddy didn't want to
Daddy
hear.
Your father.
sure
Your
did.
father.
Daddy
Did
did.
not want
Daddy's
to
like,
hear.
no, you in a different environment now.
Yeah, you gonna have to toughen it up.
Yeah, stand up for yourself. And I remember having to go downstairs in the Parker Square basement and learn to fight.
Yeah.
Like you really down
You
there.
slap
Like,
boxing with Daddy.
you were training.
Slap boxing with Daddy. Yeah. He would take us down. You look at she looked at him. She like
I
he
remember.
wasn't gonna let nobody. Yeah, he would teach you.
I know he talked to y'all about it.
Oh no,
I
I
never knew he took
There
you
were
training.
real sessions, man.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to bat. And he always just be like, you can't go into no fight without thinking,
Yeah.
You can't go in all
Strategize.
emotional.
Yeah.
You gotta be paying attention to what's going on. And, think about what they about to do. And so, so.
Or that if they look like they're gonna hit you, you might as well go hit them first.
Yeah.
You might not get us next time to go hit them. We hear all that.
And so,
And we said it's overwhelming though.
It's a lot. It's a
Girl,
lot.
I
And
wanted
then
to cry from the
when new stuff
conversation.
come up, and then you go running in the house to cry, and now he looking like, nah, you gonna take your butt out there. You gonna either beat them up.
I'm gonna come in here and you get a whooping.
And you get a whooping. So then you get put out the house and the door locked behind you. Looking at the door like,
Dang. It's survive or die here.
Lord.
You felt that way a little bit.
I never felt
It sounds cool, Mama.
It sounds like child abuse.
It sounds like true, but it was what you had to toughen us up. So.
You had to learn how to fight for yourself down there.
We did, because if you didn't, I've seen people who didn't, and they didn't fare too well. So
They would
get picked on. And
forever.
I think that really stopped us from getting picked on. But
Because we still did. I did in school. I did in elementary school, throughout elementary school. Bigger girls and stuff would pick on me because we had long hair, thick hair, toned hair. We have ponytails and stuff. They used to call us dookie braids and stuff. And mind you, these girls didn't have a lick of hair. And didn't, and weren't not that I'm beautiful or anything like that. Because of my nose.
Logo,
Yeah.
got to put
What? I'm like, I gotta talk about that.
All the time. And
kids are cruel.
Kids are cruel, man.
And then, but luckily, but like Niecee said earlier, we had family that lived there. And so, thank goodness we had some older cousins who would go, we tell them in school, because like I remember telling, I wish I could say her name, one of my cousins who was closest in age to me, not the old, and I told her about those girls messing with us, and it kind of got through their family, and she got about 3 or 4 older sisters and older brothers and all them, and they were very protective of us. And I have to admit that was one of the saving graces, I believe, too, that helped us.
Yeah.
Because once they understood our relationship with those other cousins, who also had a pretty big reputation in the neighborhood.
Yes. And TV Watkins.
And TV Watkins.
We were
and Parker Square by that
they
time.
had lived in Parker.
They had been there and they knew people there too. And so it kind of helped me in school to even just be associated with. Not that they went, I didn't ever hear about them doing nothing.
And they were never really physically there with us.
No, when it would
So
happen.
like, stand back, you know.
No, like they were, never side by side, but I would tell them about an incident or who it was and all this.
Right.
And the next thing you know, the person coming back to you and apologize.
All right, yeah. So that was
interesting to me though, that would happen sometimes.
Right.
Go ahead.
But then at the same time, I was thankful for that, but at the same time, in everyday
day-to-day living,
it felt like it was only me and you. And I was always seeming like I was into something, and you were just kind of like, what, Niecee? You know?
By the time we got up to be teenagers, I got tired of it. I'm going to tell you one time.
Well, we can't go
I ain't going to go too far ahead, but every time I would get into a kerfuffle, whatever you want to call it.
Physical altercation.
My sister had something to do with the root cause of that. It may have been because she was into it with someone of her own age group, and then an older sibling would get involved. I had to protect my sister.
What it was.
I had to come and help protect you. That was the majority of them. I have to give you that. And then sometimes later in her life, she would do different things and then cause some conflict.
Well, I was never a bully.
Okay.
I don't feel like
you don't define it. Yeah.
No.
You were defending.
I was. People probably perceived it as me being a bully because once I learned to fight, and I never have been an arguer. I never been a person to argue with people, and so I would just kind of sit there when things were going on in everyday life. People saying doing stuff to me, and I just be sitting there looking at them. I never really said anything, but then I'd go home and I'd start thinking about what I was going to do to them.
Okay. But it was reaction then.
Yeah.
Whatever they had done.
And then if I come upon them again and they say, "What, man?"
That's your reason
liable to jump on them. And then they say, "Bernice is just a bully."
You know.
It was a little premeditated. To the house and tell them. It was a little premeditated, but you know. I'm not gonna argue with you, but I will.
And I didn't have a whole lot of fights growing up, but
no. It wasn't about that.
It wasn't all that. Yeah, because what I did learn to appreciate that it did really feel like a family environment. Because
a community.
Once you got to know the people and everybody came out, like you were talking to before, they had all these groups.
Yes.
And we would, we lived kind of on the end of a big block of houses toward the woodland side. Yeah. But it's in the middle. So we would have to come out and go around the corner to the playground area that we ended up calling the Dust Bowl. For most of the time, when you want to really go find your friends, initially, or you might come upon them most of the time. At least when we were younger, at least that's what I remember.
Yeah. Because when I talk about us living in the middle, we didn't live in the middle of Parker Square, but I say we lived about the halfway mark. Yeah. Between the top of Parker Square and the bottom.
Oh yeah. That's a whole other thing about that area that they had.
And because within the community, there were sub-communities.
Yes, there was.
In all of these different areas, because
you will refer to people that were, so and so, they live up in the top of Parker Square. Yeah. And she live on the nice old people side.
She stayed by the Dust Bowl. She stayed at the bottom of Parker Square. And then, so because even if you go to these different areas, it was always a different experience. So the people were a little different. They carried themselves a little different. Relationships had formed because they're closer neighbors, and so it was always different. Then within that, then there was the sub group.
The sub. Okay.
Yeah, we were some bullet points. We'll start marching in on, because then you had the age group of these groups. Yeah, because
as the ages changed, different people hung out. Like we lived right there by those steps.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when we first moved, there was a group of teenagers that hung up on the steps.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and as time went on, I'd see another group of teenagers. The next thing I knew, y'all was standing up.
Yeah. Or sitting on the big green thing.
The generators,
electrical generators.
But we always call them the green things. And that's where the teens hung out. Yeah. And although I was only like 2 years younger than you, I couldn't hang out with you when you got to be a teen. I couldn't come over there. Yeah. So
I didn't want you nowhere near me.
Yeah.
And I look at you, see what you're doing, see you over there playing, doing whatever, but she's fine. She's all right.
Yeah, we all had it. It was a great experience. But I felt like I think we'll delve down and talk a lot more about some of our individual experiences in Parker Square because, like Mom said, we lived there for over 7 years. And
formative years,
yeah, very formative in our lives. And even when we moved away, that's our neighborhood. We always came back. We never left. So I feel like in our next episodes, we'll be talking more about that. But just wanted to kind of touch on Parker Square. As you can see, me and Bonnie, we come alive when we start talking about that. Because,
a lot of great memories.
Yes. This is where we grew up. This is where I still have friends to this day. Good people, It takes all kinds, and there was all kinds in that neighborhood. So we're going to explore that a little bit, just to give you guys a visual of some of the things that shape our lives. Okay. You say amen.
Amen. I want to say amen. I want to be saying that, but it was very formative.
Yeah.
So I look forward to that conversation.
Yeah. And then your brother was born during that time.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. My little brother Zell, he was born during that time. So we'll have to explore that and what it was like back in those days, because we were definitely latchkey kids. We'll give you guys a heads up on that. We were definitely latchkey kids. And
it wasn't unique.
It wasn't unique. Almost everybody in our neighborhood had the same thing. All of us had to care for our little sisters and brothers, and so we'll delve into some of that. We don't want to keep you guys if you're still out there. We appreciate you sticking in with us and tuning in today. But we're gonna go ahead and end, and we'll talk to you soon. But until next time, we wish you nothing but peace, love, and light. Namaste.